Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching this. I assume most of you will watch the replay because I did post about this a little too late, which is okay. It's very impromptu. So the reason that I wanted to get on here today is because no matter who I've talked to, money is such a popular topic that comes up all the time. Even when I'm talking about goals, I think a lot of people have goals that are somehow connected to money, whether that's you're actually saving a certain amount of money, or you are planning a trip somewhere, you need money in order to do that, or you're looking to buy something. Money is always involved in it. So I wanted to share with you some tips on how you can get more clear on your money goals and how you can obtain them quicker. I think it's going to be so helpful for you, at least I hope it is. Please leave me a comment if you found this very helpful. But before I get into that, I want to talk to you a little bit about relationship with money, because a lot of people don't think about it as a relationship, and I think you need to, because if you talk poorly about money, you're not going to attract it. So I've noticed, and I think you should do this exercise as well, is figure out what your money story is. So I noticed that when I was first taught about money, or my first experiences with money weren't that great. I grew up in Argentina and there wasn't a lot of money, like wearing hand-me-downs all the time, this and that. Like there just wasn't a lot of it. In fact, my parents left Argentina and came to Canada to have a more stable job and a more stable income. So I've always been surrounded by this idea that money is maybe not the easiest to get. And that's okay. That's what I grew up with, and I acknowledge that, and now I'm changing that, and that's not my story anymore, which is key. So I think the first step you need to do is realize or understand what your story is so that you can work towards changing it. But before I dive into more tips, I wanted to tell you about two examples of two things that have happened to me regarding money, which one of them is better than the other, I will tell you this. But I found that when I was looking at my story, I realized that money tends to be attracted to me. Like it always comes to me when I need it, which looking back on it is kind of a bit surreal. So the first story I want to tell you is when I was 17, I was working at Tim Hortons, which for those of you that are not Canadian, that is like a drive-through coffee shop. Not the best coffee, but it is what it is. We're proud of it for whatever reason. Not the point though. The point is that I was working there minimum wage, and in high school I had signed up to go to Disney World, and I was super excited. It was going to be like my first big trip by myself, and my parents weren't helping me pay for this, so I needed to come up with the money. So I was using my job, and I had decided when I started working at Tim Hortons that once I got enough money for my trip, I was quitting. Like it just wasn't for me. So I'm working and, paying off what I need to in order to go on my trip to Disney World. And I probably had like $2,000 left to pay. And I'm at the Eaton Center, which is a mall, a very famous mall here in Toronto. And I actually got approached by an agency, a modeling agency, randomly. Like they just saw me walking there and they're like, hey, like I think you would be great for this. For whatever reason, my parents agreed to it. And I actually landed the first audition that I went to, which was a Sears commercial, also a popular brand in Canada, no longer around. But I landed my first audition, made more money than I needed to pay off for my Disney trip. And of course, I quit my job at Tim Hortons. But it was so instant, and it was kind of crazy how that happened, because like I wasn't looking for it. Mentally I was, but not like physically searching for that money. I just assumed that I would work at Tim Hortons and that would help me pay it off. And I was just so determined that the world was like, you know what? Here's an opportunity that's going to get you there faster. The other story has some good and bad to it. So the other story is I had finished college and university. I have both a diploma in journalism and a degree in communications. So as you can assume, that's a lot of money put towards education. And at this point I had started paying off my OSAP, because I had learned that if I started paying for it earlier, then I wouldn't have to pay interest. So at this point I'm like trying to pay it off so I don't have to pay any interest, and I have like $3,000 left to pay. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, how am I going to do this? I don't know how I'm going to do this. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. And I actually ended up getting in a car accident, which sounds horrible, but it turned out to be great because my car ended up being a write-off. I was fine, was not injured, but the car ended up being a write-off, and they actually appraised it for more value than what I had paid for it. So I ended up being able to pay off my OSAP and still have enough money for whatever the heck I wanted to. So like I said, for whatever reason, like when I'm in this mode of desire and need and want, and I'm very excited about like accomplishing the goal that's related to money, it somehow finds me. Not always in the best ways, as you can see from the story, but it does find you. So I want to talk about some tips on how you can attract money. So number one, I want you to get clear on what you want the money for. So are you saving for a trip? Are you saving to buy a car? Like, what is that money you're putting aside going to be used for? And then I want you to get even more clear with it. So if you're saving for a trip, I want you to get clear on if it's a trip to Europe, or let's make it more specific, we're going to Paris. A trip to Paris. I want you to get specific on what hotel you want to go to, how many nights you're going to be at that hotel, so that you can have a number associated with that part of the trip that you can actually put the money in there for. So what this is going to do is going to create excitement, and that's step number 3. I want you to put excitement behind your goal, because if you are living a bit on a budget so that you can go on this amazing trip to Paris, you might feel a little guilty putting money into your savings because you don't have that excitement behind it, because you haven't put that purpose to that money, that you are going to feel a little guilty if you bail on going out for drinks with your friend for their birthday, or you're going to feel guilty for not doing other things because you're so determined to save money for this trip. So the more clear that you get with your goal, especially when it comes to saving and putting money aside, you're going to add that excitement, and it's going to fuel you, and you're going to find that money is going to start coming in quicker, and you might be able to, instead of treating your friend out for dinner, you can invite them over for dinner, which saves you money. You still feel good about putting money aside for your trip. See where I'm going with that? The fourth thing that I want you to do is write down or think about what gets to change for you when you reach your goal. So what gets to change for you when you get to travel to Paris? So I get to explore a new place, a new culture. I get to meet new people. That could be the answer to that if your goal is travel. And then for your 5th thing that I want you to do is, how does it benefit others when you reach your goal? And the reason you want to think about others is because there's always, a trickling effect. There's always a domino effect. So when you do something, it's going to affect someone else. So I want you to already be thinking about how that will happen. So if you're going on your trip to Paris, it could be as simple as they're going to be inspired by the fact that I was able to save all this money and go to this beautiful location. It could be as simple as that. You inspired someone else. That's how you reaching your goal benefits someone else. It could be that they get to learn amazing things about this new place you've explored because you're going to come back and tell them stories and show them pictures. It could be really anything that you feel will have a positive influence on someone else. So another tip, now that we've gotten clear on our goals and how it benefits you and how it benefits others, is that you should track your money. And the reason for that, it's not so that you have, like a number, even though that's good to know. It's so that you can build your ability to receive abundance. And abundance doesn't necessarily mean money value or like income into your bank. It means, I have an abundance because my friend bought me a free coffee. So that's like $2 I don't have to spend on coffee today. So I feel richer. I feel abundant. So I want you to create, not an Excel, but just 2 columns. One of them is going to say income. And this is where you're going to track the money that actually goes into your bank account. So this will be like your paychecks, commission, random checks you get from the government, things like that. Then your other one is going to say value. So your value is going to be things such as I got a gift from someone and that gift is valued at $40. So I'm going to put in $40. Or I got a discount on my chef's plate or like on food that I ordered. So I got a discount of $30. So I'm going to put $30 because that's money, although it's not in your account, that you're attracting. And what that's going to do, it's going to open you up to feel gratitude for that money that's coming in, whether it's physical in the sense of actual like dollar bills or if it's physical in the sense of an actual item. You are still attracting this. This is money coming into your life. And when you start focusing on those things, you start to increase your abundance and your gratitude towards it, and it's going to feel a lot easier to attract it. So that one might be a little bit out there for you, for some of you, but I highly recommend that you do it. Even like you're going to subconsciously be like, wow, like I can't believe that I got all these free things or all these free values or this much value this month. So I highly recommend that you do that. It really changes the way that you look at money. So I want you to also think about money, and this might be a little weird, as a relationship. So if you're dating someone, hopefully you're not going to talk badly about them. But we tend to do that with money. We tend to not talk positively about money. We don't have the best relationship with money sometimes, and that's okay. So I want you to also look at how it is that you discuss money. And that could really be as simple as you want to go buy something, but you say, this is too expensive. That's a negative word. You don't really want to use that. Instead, you want to say, this isn't a priority right now. Because you're telling yourself and your relationship with money that, you know, we're on good terms. I love you, you love me. But right now, like, we're just not meant to own this piece of item, but we will soon, just not right now. So you're changing how you're talking about it. You know, you have to build that trust in your relationship like you would with a human with money. So you also have to trust that money is always going to be there, that it's always going to appear, whether that's through a random job opportunity or through an appraisal of a car that was incorrect. So your relationship with money is very important. So these are all the tips that I want to share with you today on how you can attract your money goals. I'm excited to hear about you guys trying them. Please leave me a comment on how working through these tips has helped you get closer or even clearer on what those money goals are. I'm really excited to hear more about it. And thank you so much for tuning in.